Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's countdown. We're finally entering into the playoffs. It's getting very intense, as finally we are going down into this week. I'm here joined by to my rest, Dragoon?
Yeah, hi, Dragon.
Yep, part of Edinburgh Monarchs. Below of me, we have a head coach or coach for Geometric, Drowsy.
Oh, that was it.
Yep, and the annoying man himself on the bottom right, we have Spongy, hit scan for Wisdom. Okay, Spongy.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. So we're going to be recapping the games real quick as we had our first quarter, I guess technically quarterfinalists, in both EM, SBC, OTW, Hyperflex. Match 1 being EM versus SBC. Honestly, being predicted in pretty fairly, ended in a 3-1 in favor of EM. Player of the match being empty. Honorable mentions to RQT and obviously you, Dragon. So you want to give us basically your POV going into that match? Were you guys even like scared of SBC?
So, I mean, as a team, we were kind of just, I don't know, we really didn't expect much from them because, again, they've literally never, ever, won a game, and they had never beaten us on a single map. Personally, I'll say I was actually a little worried because I knew for a fact Savage Kinney is like a godly main tank. That guy is great. And I know for a fact that they've also been actually building a support line, which they've lacked for every single week prior to playoffs. And again, those were most of their major issues kind of being fixed because their DPS are solid as always. Lanix is still great. Their off tank is still, I mean, probably the weakest in the league with Florida, but they obviously have now Savage Kinney, who's great, and they used Bediza this week, who was surprisingly excellent. Bediza played fantastically. And then obviously they have Dason from Geo, who's been great all season also, and Formal Chicken, who's also been very solid for the whole season. So I mean, personally, I was pretty worried for the most part. But I think we really came together as a team, and we kind of just proved who was better in the match.
That's pretty fair. How about you, Drowsy or Spongy?
This was the matchup I spent I paid the least attention to this week, just because it was a foregone conclusion in my opinion. But I mean, EM's looked really solid, kind of gatekeeper to the top of the division. I've been pretty sure, they're pretty much plat chat last season, right? They're pretty decent team. Good teams beat them, bad teams lost to them. Pretty cut and dry. But then SBC was, I mean, it's SBC. I wasn't expecting the most. I think, did they pull out a map win or no? Was it
they did pull out one map.
Yeah, okay. So I thought so. Because SBC pulled a better map versus Geo. They pulled out one versus Wisdom. So it's not like the team was dead in the water, but I couldn't see them pulling out of the series.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything for you, Spongy?
Rio 2.0, big sad.
Unfortunately, yeah, Rio 2.0. And I think this is... Wait, yeah?
The game, it was close. I watched it with my team. A lot of us, we wanted to see SVC get their first win. But I thought this was... I didn't actually think this was a foregone conclusion, because I think this was the week SVC could actually show that they've been improving. But I guess they have, but not as much.
Yeah, I can understand. They didn't improve as much. At least I do agree with Jowsy though. It felt like a foreclosure. They were basically done. I didn't see any talent. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see any scrims or VODs. So honestly, it's just a bit unfortunate. SBC are gonna probably be going down as Rio 2.0. Whatever team comes back in season 3, has to try and avoid not to keep that trend of going and whatever. But then we go into the next match, which was OTW versus Hyperflex. I feel like this was the main match that everybody was watching. We wanted to see if Hyperflex would bring it back against OTW, especially during last week's countdown. I had predicted Hyperflex to win because I wanted Eagle to lose versus Hyperflex twice in a row. Had to keep up the streak and storyline. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your sides, OTW had won 3-0 against Hyperflex. Player of the match being Tree60, honorable mention being me. And really, what are our feelings on this? Drowsy, obviously you were on Hyperflex last season, so seeing your team go down like this, how does that make you feel?
I mean, like you said, Hyperflex is my alma mater. I was really rooting for them. I know Chef and Blitz is their captain, right? But put a lot of time and effort into the season, trying to bring it back from what it was. They pulled out some wins, which is really good. Chef got his first win. I really think this game, like, on another day, would have gone Hyperflex's way. It was just so weird to watch. Like, they just looked out of it. Like, on Hollywood was the map I paid the most attention to, because I was kind of watching during one of my script blocks. But like, I don't know, it just looked weird. Like, they were playing fine. They took a few maps to get like things moving, or took a few fights to get things moving. But then they lost again, and like Lori started swapping to like Monkey. Then he was on like Zarya or something for a while. Like, it was weird. Like, people kept like switching heroes off of like whatever their core comp was, and like they were going like almost even in those fights. Like, if they were just on a comp that made sense, if they were just playing together, if they like trusted their coaches in the comp and they just stayed on what they should have been on, or like committed to a swap as a team, I feel like they could have done a lot more. But like, it just looked like they were lost. And I don't know if that's like a coaching error or if the players just made the call mid-game to like abandon chip, but it was just weird to watch. I feel like if they kept their composure and just kept their heads down, gone with the plan, and grinded it out, they could have won that. But no.
Makes a lot of sense. Dragon or Spongy?
I mean, honestly, it was like for me personally, it was pretty disappointing to see Hyperflex get through it by OTW, especially because like I mean, ever since they kind of rebuilt, I've thought quite fondly of Hyperflex. They're a bunch of great guys, like as like people obviously, and they're pretty good players too. It's a lot of players from both Wisdom and EM, and they're all coming together now to make their own roster. And it seems like they really, like, as of the end of the season, it seems like they'd actually been able to pull something together. It seemed like they were actually able to work as a team, and obviously that isn't the case now that we're seeing them getting 3-0'd by OTW. But like, the most disappointing thing to me here is the fact that, I mean, they have Blitz, right, and we're in a Sigma meta finally, and they're still losing. It's really sad.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I know Bliss has been enjoying the game less. Like, I'm a personal like IRL friend of his. I know he's been enjoying the game less. I don't know if he's benched himself, or like if they decided he wasn't the pick. But if you're running Sigma, Blitz is better than some major Sigmas. I don't know why they wouldn't run it.
Yeah,
It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
really was. And how about you, Spongy?
I mean, can we appreciate what Chef did to Hyperflex? At least.
No,
Yeah,
that is true.
This man
Chef actually carried.
really,
Yeah.
this man really brought this team back from having like 5 people leave in the middle of the season. Basically their whole starting lineup, and then revamped the whole team, and still won a game.
Him and Lori, the last of the original roster. And honestly, that's impressive. You know, shout outs to Chef. He genuinely worked his tail off, more necessary than like he really needed to save the team. When he could have left, he could have got traded. Any team would have wanted him, but he stuck through, and that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, so big round of applause to him for sticking through. Especially like, it's crazy that so many good players left and he's able to rebuild it into something better. That's like what really impressed me, because anyone can like take like 5 new players and just add them to the roster and go through the motions of the games, but like he made a team that worked, and like they pulled out a win. They looked competitive, so like I'm really proud of what he was able to do.
Yeah, me too. Now we're going to be going into the predictions. We're finally getting into the top tier teams, really the kind of semifinals of what's happening. First up, we have Wisdom versus OTW. I think this is going to be not an interesting match. I predicted a 3-0. Dragon, you predicted a 3-2 in favor of OTW. Spongy, obviously you can't vote. And Drowsy, you also said a 3-0 in favor of Wisdom. Dragon, what's with this game 5?
Yeah, so I honestly, what I wanted to call was a 3-2-1 or a 3-1-1, but you can't do that like on the little forum thing, so I have it as 3-2. I really think that OTW just understands this meta better than Wisdom does, especially with the tank line. I think that this is like the perfect tank meta, or the perfect meta for the tanks on OTW. It seems like something they can really like work with perfectly. I mean, Blue Jay Sigma is just great. Me can play ball pretty well. He can play the Arisa pretty well if need be. Me also can do Roadhog perfectly fine. And if they need Big Hoot to come in, also his ball is pretty good too. Their support have been really consistent and pretty good all season too. Eagle's also been great. I mean, are they still using Tree in the other spot for DPS right now? Right? Tree is pretty solid too. I mean, you just look at this current meta and like I really do. No matter how good Wisdom has been past weeks, I just do not see a possibility for them to like be able to beat OTW in the current meta. I just don't. I think OTW is one of the strongest teams, or will be the strongest team, according to the current meta, besides maybe one other team that I won't name.
That's pretty fair, but what about you, Drowsy, before we get Spongy's kind of opinion?
Well, I mean, going into this, Wisdom has had a lot of time to grind. They haven't had to focus on getting better for a specific opponent or for a matchup, so they've just been, I would assume, working on themselves, trying to become the best team possible. And I think honestly that's going to help them a lot coming into this next week, where especially we don't know if the patch is going to change. Not that I think the patch is going to change the meta a ton, but they have a lot of time to prepare for it, and they've had time to grow as a team as opposed to growing for this meta, growing for this opponent, or whatever. I also I think their players are just at a different level than OTW's. Not at every position, but like Tree's great. Spongy's better. I think Me's good but overhyped, and I think Minimax is just as good, if not better. I can't say OTW has a stronger roster or they have a better coaching staff. I don't know what the X factor is. I would put OTW over Wisdom here.
And now Spongy, what's really your feelings?
I mean, we had 3 bye weeks to prepare. Our double shield didn't look that great against Geo, but I can tell you, it's got a lot better after scrimming a lot, and there's a reason we had 5 role stars this season.
Yeah, I mean, besides from just being one of the most popular teams, but that's not me saying that. I definitely.
Also, we have 20 coaches, so.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I definitely feel that Wisdom has just shown more consistency. From what I saw, OTW against Hyperflex, they didn't look anything impressive. They didn't look anything special. So it really didn't surprise me that they won. I was more surprised by Hyperflex at least winning some of the fights because I felt OTW should have been able to come in here and steamroll it. So going into this game, as much as I love Phantom Flex or a couple players on their team like Eagle, I think Wisdom is just going to easily roll this. They're going to be coming in dominant. They probably want to see Geo in the finals because that's the next match going into. I forgot to say, the analysts also think Wisdom are going to win basically over 80%. It is very strong Wisdom's going to win, so OCW has the wall against them. But now we're going into Geo versus EM. I think that this game is going to end in a 3-1 in favor of Geo. Dragon, obviously, you're in that game. You can't vote. Spongy, you also said a 3-1 in favor of Geo. Drowsy said, well, nothing, because he can't. So, Spongy, what's really your feelings on this before we give these two players the ability to talk about how they feel about their game?
I mean, Geo's looked really strong in this meta, especially since a lot of the meta heroes are a lot of the people's comfort picks. And they're all in comfort picks right now, and I have a lot more faith in what I've seen in the past games of Geo than EM, because EM's just looked very sloppy in their games.
Makes a lot of sense. Drowsy, we're gonna let you go first. You beat Wisdom. You beat the top tier team. You guys have been looking very insane as of recently. So, what is your feeling going against EM?
I mean, EM's a fine team. We're not really preparing for the EM matchup. We're just preparing for this meta. We're preparing ourselves as a team. We're just trying to be the best Geo we can be instead of the Geo that will beat EM or the Geo that'll beat Wisdom or whatever. So I don't know. I think EM's fine, but they're just kind of a stepping stone. Like I said earlier, I feel like they're plat chat. Good teams will beat them, bad teams will lose to them. I feel like Plat Chat lost last season to a team like Hyperflex because I see the same issue with them where I don't see a player or even more. I don't aside from who was it? Was it Lannox? I don't know. Aside from one or two players they have, I couldn't see anyone who can clutch up. I don't see anyone who's a star who can carry a map, much less a series. I don't see anyone who can pop off and help them beat a team that's on paper just better. I don't know. I don't see any reason for them to win the series or anyone who's gonna carry them to the point where they can win. Because they don't have a crazy player like an Esta. They don't have a Titanic. They don't have an insane off tank who's gonna get Flux every fight and just roll our team on his own. They don't have anything like that, in my opinion. So I think it's a pretty cut and dry series. I think they're a good team. They've had a really good season, but I can't see them going past this week.
That's pretty fair. And Dragon, what's your kind of rebuttal to that, but also your own opinion?
Yeah, no, so I think a lot of people forget that we're the only team that's ever actually beaten Geo, and also the only team that's never lost to them. I mean, that's kind of irrelevant, but like that's just something to keep in mind for the most part. Also, like it doesn't really matter like whether or not we have a carry or not. I think like when we're at this far in the season, you don't need a carry. Early on, a carry is what you need. A carry is like how you're winning your early games. Chemistry between teams is not like great. It's not solid. It's dog shit, right? Like when you look at that, right, in the second half of the season, we've literally lost one match, and it was because what was it? A third of our roster, a third of our starting roster was out. So we were playing with players that usually don't like play like in their certain role. Like we had Val on main support, and I don't even remember what the DPS situation was looking like. But again, kind of besides the point. I don't know. It really isn't about the carry. It's really about team chemistry, and how the team can work overall. And I think that's something that we have been excelling at for quite a while now.
Yeah. Maybe I should. What do you call it? Pretty up what I said. I don't think you guys need a carry to win, but I don't think you guys can beat Geo's average day with your average day. In that, I don't know who's gonna step up and make that difference if you guys are to win that game. Maybe that's the better way to put it.
I think in kind of that scenario, we just have to wait to see what happens. I think this will be like genuinely a close match, even though my scoreline isn't really reflecting how I feel. I definitely feel Geo has shown themselves to be at least a top tier team, while EM's kind of fallen down from their kind of strong aggressiveness since like their first Wisdom game. But I think this is definitely going to be the match that I watch, and if I'm able to, I'm definitely going to attempt to cast. It's going to be very enjoyable. And when it comes to the analysts, it is kind of a little split, but people are saying that Geo win. So you know, if EM wins, everyone's going to be surprised. Well, not everyone, but I think it's going to be a very intense moment. Even just thinking of this is kind of making me nervous. I don't want my predictions to be wrong, and then I'm going back to taking L's. But that's really all we have to say. Make sure you stay tuned to watch the games. They will be live on Twitch. So without any further ado, my name is Intel, and I thank you for watching.
What's happening, members of League Zero? I'm your host, Grave King, and welcome back to the semifinals edition of the Intermediate Countdown. And here are a few of our guests. Say your name.
I'm Repeat. I'm a all-star. I play Flex DPS for Double Cap.
I'm Slick, the Flex support for Capitalism.
Yeah, I'm QZ. I'm the DPS player for Guangzhou.
He's a main tank player for Guangzhou Gangsters. Let's clarify that right now. Been watching the
Not
show.
once have I said I am a
But
tank
yeah, we
player
have
for
we have
Guangzhou.
two returning guests, Repeat and Raga. So thank you guys for coming back to the show. And of course, we have Slick, who is a new guest. So thank you as well. But let's just get right into it, boys. So the first game of the week we had last week was Guangzhou Gangsters versus MI6, where the Guangzhou Gangsters ended up winning the series 3-1. Of course, we do have a Guangzhou Gangsters representative here with Raga. So Raga, I want to ask you, coming to this game with super high expectations, how are you guys able to take that confidence from the community and help it translate you guys into a win?
I mean, we were just better. Kind of all I really have to say. Like, you saw the clip of me charging into their backline. Like, we took it seriously, but not that seriously. Like, we played as a team. We still really wanted to win, but like, it wasn't that much of a challenge. We kind of just won. The MI6 were a lot better than they were throughout the entire season, but still, just like, it wasn't super hard. We kind of just played our game and won off of mechanical skill.
So what do you say, because I understand King's Row was a very close match, it ended up going down to the wire, but MI6 ended up winning that map. Did you feel like you guys started to become more serious after that map loss and start taking those next two maps more seriously?
I mean, I didn't really notice a shift in like mentality. It was kind of just we played double shield and won. Because we're good at double shield, so I don't know. We didn't really change our mentality. We didn't get boomed from that. We kind of just played the exact same and just won. I don't know how, it just kind of happened. So
Fair.
I don't know how to explain it.
From its Repeat and Slick, from a Spectre perspective, what do you think gave Guangzhou Gangsters the edge in this game?
I think, honestly, my opinion, it was really a main difference. Especially from what I watched. Rai Garakizi, you're just better than Craig. That's what I saw. So.
Fair. Slick, do you have anything to add?
If you saw the clip, you definitely would not.
Just the
think they
tank
made
difference.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like Greek and just Rai have been playing really well all season together. I feel like Greek was definitely one of the better off tanks in this league, so it's happy to see that Rai and Greek have started to have that synergy that looks very, very strong heading into the semifinals. But yeah, I think there's nothing else really to talk about much about that game. I feel like it was just business being done. I might say it did show signs of hope, especially after the win against Kingro. But I just feel like when it came down to the mechanical skill and the double shield comps, Guangzhou Games just had the edge all around.
I still don't understand why they were just running Drift to Revolve throughout the entire season.
I don't.
That just confuses me so much. Like, he's a good guy, just his mechanical skill is not up to an intermediate level.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is go to 2:45 in the MI6 versus Guangzhou game highlights video, and that's the best moment you'll ever see in a League Zero game. Just saying.
Awesome. Great to hear. Moving on, the player of the match was Greek Godex, and the honorable mention was Duality. Congratulations to both of you. If I'm not mistaken, Duality is a support, right?
DPS.
He's DPS, sorry, I'm done with that. But yeah, I know Greek Godex is on that off-tank player, so congratulations to both of you guys. Moving on to the next week of the game we had was Capitalism versus Obligation, and to all of our surprises, actually, Capitalism actually ended up winning this game in a 3-1 fashion with one draw. Of course, we do have a Capitalism representative, Slick, on the show, so it's like, I want to ask you, coming in as the underdogs in the community's eyes, how did that push you guys help take this win against a strong Obligation team?
Well, we had 2 weeks to prepare. We scrimmed pretty much daily, and a lot of people don't like our team. Literally everybody hates us. I was ranked as a bottom tier flex support player. Nobody likes Shanks. It's quite sad, but oh well. But we managed to kind of play the double shield pretty well. I was really happy with how we played it.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed as well, because coming to this game, I had a high hopes for Obligation because Squirrelben is a sniper one trick and double shield helps sniper one tricks a lot, but it just felt like surprisingly the Gamester outperformed Squirrelben in some way, and that was really surprising to me. Another quick question I have was, do you think Obligation overperformed or just underwhelmed your expectations?
Ooh, I do not have a comment on that. I'm a new player to the league. I don't know how they normally perform. I just go out there and play.
Mm-hmm. So do you think it was more about you guys being better and them not being prepared?
I would say it was the meta shift for us. We were better at double shield than we were brawl.
That's fair. Ryan, repeat, what were your guys' thoughts on this game?
Honestly, I think Capitalism all played well. I think they all did a solid job, but Kate just brought it. Like, Kate is just so good. Like, I've played with Kate, and he's just so good. He played so well that entire game. He won fights that Capitalism otherwise would not have won by him just getting 4 kills, and it was just insane.
Question for you, Pete. Having been an ex-teammate of Kate, do you guys regret trading him, or do you feel like he's better off on Capitalism?
Well, I mean, I love him. He's fun to play with. He's a really nice guy. But I mean, he wanted playtime. As much as I would love him to still be playing with him on DC, if he wanted to go somewhere else to get playtime and have like more fun just playing the game, like, he can do that.
Fair. Right, what were your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I've had the kind of sneaking suspicion. I thought, okay, well, I'll start with the Obligation, because I thought they were going to be pretty good until I realized about a couple weeks before the final game for them that the meta was going to shift to double shield, and then I'm like, well, they've been horrible with meta adaptations for the entire season, so they're kind of screwed. Like, they're very much like the Hangzhou Spark from season 2 in my mind. And it's ironic because they're both pink, but like they're very good at the meta when they actually get to understand it, but like until they understand it, they're really bad. And they just couldn't understand the meta at all, so they got screwed.
I actually thought the opposite. I thought they would come in better from this meta swap, just because they have 2 really good sniper players, and their tanks their main tank wouldn't have to put in a lot of work, just because she's on Orisa. But It's interesting to see that perspective on it, definitely.
Double shield ain't all point and click with snipers. So, and because they actually needed team coordination with a new meta, they got screwed up. And that's all I can say there.
True. Anyone else have anything to add about this game, or can we move on?
I don't know why they ran Basket on Zen instead of BAP, but that's just me. I think BAP is 10 times better than a Zen, and BAP is a little more important with just the healing output and damage he provides.
I think Obligation came to this league, I think as like the expected favorites, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because they came in just with one of the best coaching staffs. They came in with the Smilers brand. Alright, they pretty much had everything in the bag, and they ended up really disappointing this season. It really sucks because they had such good players, but they didn't really have the coaching staff to enable them to actually adapt and play up to their capabilities, which really sucked because you do have a lot of good players like Pichu, Squirrelban, and Domination on the team, but they just really underperformed this season, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we can move on from there. The player of the match was Kate, and the honorable mention was Slick. Of course, Slick, you were in this V6, so congratulations to you. And of course, to Kate on the off-tank position. Moving on, though, we have the prediction segment, and the first game of the week we have is going to be probably the game of the week, honestly, like how it was in Week 7. We have Mob Mentality versus Guangzhou Gangsters. All of us here are predicting Mob Mentality to win. Of course, we have QC or Ragai on Guangzhou Gangsters, so I want to ask you, Ragai, how are you guys going to be preparing for a super strong Mob Mentality team, and what are your expectations coming into this game?
I mean, super strong is a term that's thrown out there. I don't know how they'll do with the meta shift because a lot of their players are getting forced off of their comfort heroes. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they do. I know specifically Red off the monkey is just his monkey's very, very good. Probably has one of the best monkeys in Inter, if not the best. But he gets bailed out of he gets bailed out of a lot of fights because of his team, and without the support, the insane support that they'll have on Double Shield, when he plays Orisa, he's not really going to be the playmaker, so he's going to have to support his team. That's not really his play style. It's more or less he makes the plays. I know it seems like Phone is getting all the kills, but it's more or less Red doing all the work, and Phone kind of killing everything off the back of that. But when he's not on that carry hero, it's going to be a bit more difficult for them. I think we're pretty much a better Double Shield team than they are. Just looking at it objectively, we've played them as well. I don't know if they were off in the time that we played them. I'm not going to say when we played them, but the time that we played them that wasn't our game, we just were kind of better than them on the Double Shield. I don't know what happened, but I have confidence in our team that we're just better than them on the individual heroes that make up Double Shield than they are. So I'm not too worried about this game. If we win, it's whatever. If we lose, it's whatever. I'm fine with both. I think we came pretty far. But it's not. I'm not sure. I don't stress about any game in League 0. So this is gonna be no different. We're just gonna walk in and spank them on the booty.
Fair. Repeat. I want to ask you, why do you think it's gonna be a 3-0 victory?
Alright, one of these teams is gonna get their shit absolutely stomped, and I just think Mob Mentality have a little more of an advantage in being able to stomp shit the other team. It could go either way, but I think in the end, one of these teams is going to end up 3-0ing. That's just my prediction. Because one of them's going to have a really good read on either the meta or the other team, and they're just going to carry that into a win.
That's fair. Slick, why do you think Mob Mentality is going to win this game?
I know Guangzhou's weakness. And after this episode airs, I'm gonna get 50 DMs asking me what it is, and I'm not gonna give it out. I know what it is.
Could be. No clue.
It's their DPS one.
No.
I don't know. Going to Ragai's point about saying Red Knight is will be playing the Orisa. I actually think Silent might be playing the Orisa because from what I have foreseen is you guys last time you guys faced Mob Mentality, Silent was in and he performed really well. And if they
Red
do want less of
that.
that playmaking capabilities, I think it would be a smarter choice to put Silent in because he does play the safer play style as well, especially with Orisa. It's a lot more passive, so we could be seeing more Silent rather than Red Knight coming into the playoffs.
I mean, Red is a lot of their comms, so I don't think they're really ever going to take Red out unless they have to. The only reason that Red didn't play in our game is because he literally could not show up because he was moving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason why he wasn't in. I just think that he is too much of their comms for him to be taken out. Like, unless he's like mega tilting, like I don't think he'll be subbed out.
Fair. But yeah, I think judging by the analysts in the community, almost everyone agrees that Mob Mentality is going to win this game. And it's definitely going to be a good game to watch. I have a 3-2 just because I think Guangzhou Gangsters has been prepping a lot, has been doing those VOD reviews of the Mob Mentality gameplay. If they have been doing their homework, they could make this a fight, but I just feel like... who the fuck put penis in the chat? Oh my god. Anyways, but I do think... oh my god, right. Anyways, but I just do think Mob Mentality is working really hard right now. I've seen them in their server working very, very hard, and I just feel like this will be the Mob Mentality show. I feel like they're just going to come super prepared and know how to counter whatever Guangzhou just throws at them. But yeah.
You say that until you see the Red Knight ball.
Man. I tried coaching the Red Knight ball, man, one time.
Now it's making its return. It's a valiant return. Unless they just hard run Shadow Dive.
We're going on to the last week of the last game of the week. We have Double Cap versus Capitalism. Of course, we have both a DC and a Capitalism representative. So first, I'm going to go to Repeat. Repeat coming in here as the favorites. What are you going to do to prepare for Capitalism, and how are you going to? What are your expectations coming to the game?
For me personally, I rate Capitalism very highly. I think Shanks, while EFC might be a little dumb and annoying, I think he's a good player. I think Kate's very scary. I think everyone on their team performs fairly well. I feel like in the end it'll just come down to understanding of the meta and team play. And I think we're gonna be able to edge that into a win. But I don't want to be coming in here being like, oh yeah, we're gonna whip our dicks around, we're gonna 3-0 them easy. I think it'll be a very good game, and I think it won't be easy.
Okay, perfect. On the reverse end though, Slick, how are you guys preparing for Double Cap, and what are your expectations going into the game?
Expectations, I really do not know what to expect here. I see a flaw on their team that I think we can exploit. So I'm hoping we take that and we run it to a good victory. Will it happen? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm just a flex support.
Fair. Raga, why do you think Double Cap has the edge in this game?
I just think they're kind of better at double shield, and also brawl, and also dive. And I mean, like, I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. I just think that individually, most of the Double Cap players are just better than the pieces on Capitalism, and I don't think any amount of teamwork and coordination that Capitalism has, I don't think that DC doesn't have that. Like, I think with like all the in-game leaders that they have on Double Cap, like it's just you know, you can't really out team play them, and I don't think you can outskill them, so I don't think it's gonna be a win that you can take. I still think it's gonna be fairly close because I know that Capitalism has godlike player Zytho just sitting on the bench waiting to be played. But you know, I don't think that Cap's gonna edge out the win. I'm sorry. I think DC's too good right now.
I feel like DC has the edge in the tank line. I feel like Tyler and Navino's super good tank line. I feel like Navino has really stepped up since he left Wisdom as the manager. But I feel like if Capitalism want to win, they have to play around their DPS. Their DPS really perform well against Obligation. If they can somehow revolve their comp around that, I could definitely see them pulling it out. Well, at the end of the day, DC has such a strong roster. They're number 2 in the standings right now. If I'm not wrong, Capitalism's was number 5 or number 6. So, wait, what did you say? I didn't hear. You cut off.
Something like that. I think they were.
And I just feel like DC's gonna take that extra week that they had to prepare, look at Capitalism's VOD, take notes of that, and just come in super strong and just win this game.
Yeah, we're totally doing that.
Yes, don't matter. It comes down to different things.
I think it's gonna be a close game. I put a lot of respect into Capitalism.
Wish you luck in our match on Friday.
I wish you luck as well.
Wow, no toxicity, man. I thought you guys would be
already
toxic.
trash talking.
Oh, just Shanks's. That's it. He gives us a bad name.
You know, statistically, I was talking to Mom and Tally about this. Statistically, every season besides season 0, The toxic team has won League 0.
Can you guys give me your zip code? I need to get a spray from Washington Justice real quick.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ. But yeah, repeat, Rygar, like, you guys have anything else to add about this game or just the whole weekend in general?
Buckle your seatbelts. It's gonna be a long ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's not much else to talk about. I feel like this weekend's going to be
Short
full of a
episode.
lot of games. A lot of upset potential. I feel like if you guys do only have time to watch one game, though, probably check out the Mom and Tally vs. Guangzhou Gangsters game. Because it's definitely going to be a hell of a game to watch. But, of course, DC vs. Captain will also be close. But,
You can come watch Rollstar repeat play the game.
Yeah, he's actually
watch
the only,
Flickin'
he's
Drowsy.
the only role star.
But yeah, I think that's it then. So thank you guys all for watching this week's edition of the Intermediate Countdown. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe and tune in next week for the finals edition. And yeah, see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to Countdown, everybody. This is the week of semifinals. We had just had 2 very good matches in our quarterfinal round. Today I'm here with Raging Cool from Kingdom Come, Arrow, who's the manager of Tokyo Drifters, and Kernmaster, who is the captain and a player for Epizeuxis. So I'll just go ahead and get started with the recap. Our first game was Hangzhou Bark against Platchat. Hangzhou Bark managed to win 3-2, with the player of the match being Acid and the honorable mention being Copy Dog. I will say, every map in this series was extremely close, basically down on the wire, except for the King of the Hills, which were the first and last map.
Yeah, they ran heavily on Hangzhou Bark. It seemed like they knew what they wanted to do on each map, and Platchat kind of were just like, all right, we're on Koth, we have to play, and then they
especially on Busan on what's it called? The Sanctuary, the drum one.
Sure.
Whatever the drum one is. Like Platchat was running just a weird comp. It was like double shield, Brig Zen with a Torb Tracer, and like it could work in a certain way, but then there was running Hangzhou was running a damage boosted Echo, so Chuggy was just absolutely farming them.
At a point, it was working, which is crazy, and that really makes me wonder if Hangzhou Bark was really playing their comp right, or just like coordinated enough, because Platchat was close to like winning both Busan and what was map 1? It was Lijiang, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Lijiang.
From
I only watched the last end of it.
Yeah, from watching at least, it more or less looked like Platchat was playing better more as a team. I think Platchat has stronger tanks just from watching that one game. I think they were working better as a team, but honestly, I think Acid and Chuggy just put the rest of Hangzhou on their backs. And I think the fact that Chuggy did not get player of the match, he got a little robbed, in my opinion. Acid did well, but Chuggy hard carried the King of the Maps controls, at least. Like Lijiang was Chuggy.
Yeah, it was kind of just like Platchat definitely had a lot better team play, but then I think Hangzhou just ran the better comps on a couple of the maps, which kind of just gave them barely the edge. Which it's kind of the question of like which you want, mechanical skill or team play. So
I think they also tried. I think Hangzhou realized that their strongest part of their team was by far their DPS, and I think they also tried to more put them in comps where their DPS they always looked rather comfortable, the DPS, and that's like flexibility is kind of a thing around like this SR range that a lot of the times people will be like really good on like 2 heroes and that's it, but the DPS of Hangzhou always looked rather comfortable. And it's not to say Tanic and Victor did not play well, but they just got outclassed.
Yeah. I think Victor had a really good series overall, but it was just kind of like he can't 1v6 or anything like that. So
King's Row was a very strong showing from the DPS of Platchat. That is like the only point in the series where I think they really like were doing better than the Hangzhou DPS.
Yeah, I remember Tanic was just insane on 3rd point, King's Row on defense. Like saved Platchat 2 fights that round and probably helped them win that map.
Well, I think the most pivotal point in that whole map for Platchat was overtime on their second attack for Platchat, and Victor got a 6k on second point on Echo.
Yeah.
And that just kind of rolled them into halfway through third point before they could regroup. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I
not-
will
not to-
say, as you mentioned earlier, Hangzhou's they're finally focusing on their strong suit, which is their DPS line, and I feel like this is finally like what they've needed to do all season. From the start, since the draft, everyone's been saying that Hangzhou's most important and like biggest carry potential comes from Chuggy J Acid with like their history together in Horizon League. And generally just both of them are very, very, very good DPS. So if they let them shine like that, they can probably take down a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think the problem is gonna be whether it's like against Tokyo or like even if they win against Tokyo in the finals. I think it's gonna come down to like a lot of the teams, basically all three of the teams left, have like basically the same level of DPS, but then
Yeah.
they're a lot more well-rounded. So I think that's gonna be where their problem is. It's just gonna be a tank and support diff. I think that's just their biggest problem.
Like even back in Pugs, like I remember that like I wanted to like the first Pug I went to and like I was scouting for Tokyo, like I wanted to snipe Chuggy, but that was also before we we had DPS who we knew we wanted to take into our team.
Mm-hmm.
But like Chuggy Acid is probably the most consistent DPS line since they played the most together.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Agreed.
it's kind of
That's-
like Dallas Fuel before they lost to K. Like, who are you gonna? Their tank line support line is basically just playing around the metaphorical decay and Doha. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't maybe some bias. I don't necessarily think Chuggy Acid are the best DPS line, no bias whatsoever. But they seem, from that one game I watched, they seemed very consistent.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I think all three of the teams that Hangzhou could face have.
Well, they're confirmed playing Tokyo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just, like, but also Kingdom Come and Epi. Like between those three teams, I mean, each team has like basically comparable DPS. So
who
yeah.
are the DPS for Epi again? I don't seem to remember right now.
Well, I'll say this: I don't think they've been seen because we've had to mix up our roster since the trade to OC,
Oh, yeah.
and since we didn't play this last week, so no one really has seen them. I don't know if I think I'm gonna keep that information for now.
No, I mean, I
Man.
legitimately forgot what DPS players were on the.
Man, if
I know,
Sermi's
and-
not
and you'll
coming back
find
on
out later.
DPS,
Hey, sir,
missed
no,
it.
Sermi's gone from the team.
Can
Yeah,
we get
Sermi's
Kern?
gone.
I've
Kern
been- I've
DPS,
been-
I think. Kern
Can we
DPS,
get-
I think, is the
can we
play.
get what's his new
I
name?
just wanted to
Unitol?
make a point for Plat Chat though, because the whole match was pause fest. I'm pretty sure there was
Tannic,
7
yeah.
or 8 pauses,
Yeah.
and Tannic, whenever they went to his perspective, you could just see the people flying around. It was hilarious. But
my
that also
theory-
means, hold on, that also means
Yeah.
that they pretty much played a 5v6. And I'm not saying Tannic was like awful and destroyed Platchet, nor Hangzhou Bark only won because it was a 5v6. But I think that shows how well Platchet was doing, even with like someone who was pretty much handicapped, and how well he did on King's Row. Like it showed how good that team could have been, but it's just like they got screwed over in the end by just
Yeah.
a bit more DPS carry.
It's entirely
Like-
possible if Tannic's internet didn't like shit the bed for most of that match, Platchat could have probably gotten away with it.
There was I don't even know if it's just Tanix Internet. I mean, I'll talk about it probably once we get to the next game, but like the first map for our game also was like everyone, or like not everyone, but a couple people were having internet issues. Discord was just breaking for us. So
Yeah, like as someone who's played against and known Tannic since season 1 of League Zero, when I got into it, like he was always a very consistent player on whatever he's played. He's played more than just main tank. I mean, DPS in League Zero, but like I think realistically, if Tanic did not have the internet issues, I think Platcha would have won the game. Just point blank, I think they would have done better than Bark. If Tanic just had not, literally there were 30 minutes of pause time in total that I skipped over in the bot. Yeah, it was kind of a pause fest. Not gonna lie, but I still think though Platcha, I don't feel like they were robbed, but I feel like if they could go back and replay that game without all the internet issues, I think we would have seen a different result.
Yeah, I mean, those two teams were just really evenly matched. Like if they played 10 games, I think it would have like gone 5-5 each way. So.
Most definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's move on to our next game.
Kingdom Crap Burst Overcharge.
You don't have to interrupt me.
True.
Don't interrupt me.
Sorry.
Kingdom Come against Overcharge as Arrow rudely interrupted me. Kingdom Come won this 3-1. The player of the match was Pixel Master. Honorable mention was JCK. I'm gonna be honest. Kingdom Come just looked better in almost every way. I think their team right now is probably one of the better ones left. Obviously, out of 4, that isn't that many, but I will say maybe top 2. Ant looked really comfortable on Orisa. Pixel looked really good. JCK looked good. Speedy Men's looked good. Reborn, Raging looked perfectly fine. I think OC just didn't really look like they didn't go in with a game plan for what to run there. They just looked kind of lost, just in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to be like the guy who's like, oh yeah, actually, like we just played trash. Like, yeah, the team's just horrible. But I'm pretty convinced like we didn't play as well as we wanted. How we've been playing in scrims. I think it's just OC losing just because they can't adapt. That's literally the only reason.
Like it felt like the only time OC looked competent was when Ice was 1v6ing on Hollywood. Like that may be mean, but it's like Ice literally put that team on his back so fucking hard on Hollywood, and I think it's a shame that Ice could not have maybe gotten the setup and the whole rest of the game, since I think if they could have gotten him in the position he was on in Hollywood, I think OC would have at least taken 2 maps.
Yeah,
I mean, just looking back at the game, every map, the Kingdom Come came out with like a Winston ball comp, which is already odd in the first place. But then when you run double shield against it, practically each map, you need to learn how to adjust. And I just don't think OC ever adjusted or tried to like find something to beat KC. They just kept forcing their own thing and trying to like get through that they had the better comp, when in reality, like there probably are easy ways to just adjust and beat that comp. I don't like, obviously we could never see them because they just ran the same comp. Like they just bashed their heads into a wall for a good like hour.
Yeah, Hollywood was probably like of the 4 maps the most like double shield dependent, because like pretty much every other comp on that map is just like objectively worse. Like you can't run dive, you can't run brawl or anything like that. So like they definitely, with Ice like popping off, of course they had the advantage. Just like, I mean, it was a close map too, so I think I didn't play that well on Hollywood. I didn't play that well in the series, but like just the Ice diff I think carried them through that map. Otherwise, I think the double shield game was pretty even, but then like once you aren't able to double shield mirror and just like keep supporting Ice, like you actually have to watch for the dives and everything on like Dorado and on Hana, where we ran the sim TP and the brawl and attack. They just couldn't stop it at all. So I think
Even
it was.
Then, oh, there you go.
You can go. You can go.
Okay, even then, like Ravioli on Hanamura probably had the most clutch moments, like getting them to that like the 4th point cap or the honestly 2nd point cap. It seemed like their hit scan just were doing really well, but it's like how they played around it. They just kind of had to wait for their DPS to pop off, so it seemed like they didn't know what to do, except for just looking at the kill feed and waiting.
Yeah, I kind
And
of
that-
feel like it was just like, I think it's the worst version. I don't want to say worse because like, it's kind of a weird saying because they might be better, but I think it's the worst version of Hangzhou. Like they don't know how to play around the DPS. They were just kind of waiting for them to do something. Hangzhou, whatever.
Interesting.
Thing. Yeah, because like how Hangzhou, whatever, Bark, how Bark like play around the DPS and like once they get a 1 or 2 picks, they go in and like win the team fight. A lot of times, again, maybe a couple of times on Hanamura, one of their DPS would get an opening pick, but then they just slowly funnel in. And when I'm on Pharah, like you can't slow against the Pharah, otherwise you're gonna get picked. So I think they just didn't play around their DPS fast enough to like actually capitalize on the picks.
I will say, just off of pure surprise factor, seeing a ball Winston, which is probably not seen through many scrims, kind of probably caught them off guard first map. And
Yeah,
like,
I'm not gonna
dealing with a whole new comp, just kind of out of range. I mean, like Hanamura, you guys ran the Sim Doomfist. I don't think anyone really like practiced that only. Like maybe y'all do practice that, but like not many people are expecting that to just be the first comp they see. So it's like it's a surprise factor as well.
We only practiced it once during the entire 3-week thing, and it was when we were facing a 4.3 Ryan one trick.
Huge.
And yeah, we just kind of ran it, and it like we capped with like 514 or something around there left. So we were like, oh, maybe that's like a strat.
What made y'all run that in the game if you only practice it once?
We because we won the previous map Dorado, so we had side pick. So we just like thought, okay, they're gonna run double shield. We're just gonna pick attack first, like how teams normally pick defense. We're just gonna pick attack first and just run at them, and they're not gonna expect a thing.
I mean, that is what happened. So
yeah,
good shit.
We just knew that they weren't gonna adapt quick enough, like especially on the very first attack.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Let's move on to our predictions. So the first game, Tokyo Drifters against Hangzhou Bark. Me and Arrow can't predict this one since I am a player and he is the manager for Tokyo.
Well,
Nerds.
obviously Tokyo's gonna.
Yeah. But
no bias.
Raging Cool said it would be 3-2 to Tokyo. Kern said 3-1 to Tokyo. 100% of our analysts said Tokyo would win, and 87%.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I
said
didn't
Tokyo
vote on the
would win.
analyst thing.
Whoa.
Alright, I'm changing my answers so I don't look like an idiot if we lose. Did I do that?
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, it's a win-win for you either way. Your team wins or your predictions are.
I'm going to predict that Ranter is going to DC and he's not going to be able to come back, and then the
You'll have to play RMM.
No, the mental carry is just not going to be there without Ranter there, and then we'll lose. That's
Okay, here because I have 3-1, so I have like the least one-sided, or I have the most one-sided, and I think Hangzhou Bark can take it to 5 and maybe even win, but just based off of like team roster, and now that now that Tokyo will have their full roster for a full game against Bark, I think it's going to be a lot quicker.
Yeah,
Tokyo is 7-0, and they're kind of just been rolling teams left and right. And obviously, someone could have looked and found a weakness, and maybe Bark has something for Tokyo. But with how they've been running and how they played Bark during the their regular season match, Tokyo wasn't at full form. And I know they had to play, I think it was
Pigeon.
What's her name? They had to play Pigeon,
Yeah,
and they had to play
and Slaney, right?
Slaney, because Platt had like a tornado warning and Pete was just gone.
Pigeon,
right?
pigeon hit scan hits different though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, Pigeon hits get kind of crazy. It goes kind
But-
of crazy.
The game was super close, but Tokyo was down 2 of their main players at least for half the match for Platt's case.
I was really hesitant to put it at 3-2. I could honestly see it going 3-0 if Tokyo plays it right. But for some reason, I think Hangzhou will just keep it close for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe Tokyo messes up. Maybe Hangzhou just pops off or something. I just think they're just gonna keep it close. I think it's gonna be like similar to the last game where it's kind of going back and forth until last map.
Secret weapon, we sub in me on final map and we dominate.
Oh, you haven't
It's
been
like-
to a scrim in like 3 months, dude.
I remember, you're not supposed to say that. Damn.
Arrow.
It'll be a surprise for the team itself as well.
Yeah,
Pop
just
into
drop it like
VC
this.
and then Arrow's
Yo.
in now, I guess.
Before we move on, I want to say that like I think the whole season everyone's been saying from like Bark disappointed us to Bark's not gonna win to Bark's just like not good. They've been probably one of the top 3 teams, and they've been record-wise 3rd. I'm pretty sure the whole season, and it's like everyone always counts them out. I feel like way too early.
You can't disappoint me if I never had them number 1.
Yo,
in the first
anyone
place.
remember?
I guess you're right, but it's just like I can't go into this game expecting a TD 3-0 just for Bark to like bring it to 5 and or win and just be like, oh well, Bark's been good at all this time. Like no one's been saying that ever.
Yeah,
They just say their DPS are good and that's it.
It's like how the stigma around like the Fusion, how like, oh, Fusion are so bad, they always get second, but like they always get second.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you just kind of, I think the doubt for them, they've obviously risen above their expectations, but in my personal opinion, I just don't feel like they've played like the 3rd place team the whole season. In fact, I wouldn't even say they're the top 4 teams. Sorry, anyone on Hangzhou, but just generally because they dropped their 3rd game to Kingdom Come before Kingdom Come made all their renovations to the roster. They dropped their match to Vertigo. They barely squeaked by OC. They got 3-0'd by Epizeuxis, and then they lost to Tokyo down 2 of their more important players. I wouldn't really... And also not to mention their first game against Platchat. You know, it just doesn't feel like it feels like most of their success has come off of other teams having something wrong, having something.
I mean, but that's the.
I mean, I could probably make that excuse for a lot of teams, but
I mean, not even just that, but it's like I'm gonna take this to real sports. In the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers are like I'm pretty sure 11-0 last time I checked.
11-1.
11-1.
Did they lose this? Okay.
Hooray for the Washington
Before last weekend, they were 11-0, and everyone's just like, oh, they beat teams that were weak, or they beat teams that they should have beaten, or they got by like this thread. It's like, but they still overcame that. It's like I'd rather be good and have the record that I do than not like losing to a team that I should have beat. It's like, yeah, we almost beat them, but we still beat them. We're still ahead. We still won. That means they're better because they could outperform. So it's just like I know I sound like a Bark like defender, but it's just like
no, that's perfectly.
I hate how it just like everyone counts them out so quickly.
Yeah,
I will say I have been impressed with them. I have been a doubter of the Hangzhou Bark basically this whole season. And I honestly didn't think they would finish as well. I'm pretty sure last week I had them losing, and they won. So, you know, honestly, I don't. I just don't really. I'm just a big doubter. I'm very, I guess.
I'm pretty sure I had them in my preseason rankings at 3rd, maybe 2nd. So like I'm like, yeah, like they're good. They're not like by far the best team, but they're like far from the worst.
Yeah.
I think something also to like, obviously there was 3 weeks off, but if you remember the last match Platchat played, they lost 2-3 to a basically new powerhouse team who like by no means are like bad, but they weren't top cream of the crop by any stretch of the imagination. And then like obviously 3 weeks, you can get a lot better in 3 weeks. And I feel like we're gonna see like the separation of teams in this Tokyo and Hangzhou match because like there's a chance that like wait, what?
You go. Oh,
okay, well like there's a chance that like maybe Platchat and Hangzhou both got a lot better.
Well,
and
from also Platchat lost to Powerhouse and Vertigo 2 weeks
ago. I completely forgot about the Vertigo thing, but
they also revamped their roster, aka taking out the Ryan one trick. No offense, Gil.
I mean, yeah, they put another Ryan one trick in Giz.
Yeah, but Giz is known as
the
a
homie
more
Giz.
flexible player.
Yeah, Giz is awesome. But yeah, like I think we're gonna see either if both teams really improved in the Tokyo game or like both teams kind of stayed around the same, because losing 3-2 against a Tokyo team down a third of their like starting roster, and then barely beating a team that like 2-3 weeks beforehand lost to the worst team in the division and lost 2-3 to like probably the second worst team in the division isn't like very hopeful.
Not promising.
Yeah, promising is a better word.
But does anyone remember when Platchat and Overcharge were rated like first and second? That did not age well.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say this about OC. Their roster is 9 times better than their play. Because
yeah,
each player
Good on
individually,
paper.
they all should have been role stars. They all were really good, but they just did not gel.
Well, could you
That's the
imagine
last
if they
I'll say
had
of OC.
Blaze for most of the season?
Oh,
Like I know
kinda-
Blaze was generally known as a Genji player, but he could play other things. I think they would have been really good.
Even without Blaze, they were still
even without Blaze,
like,
they had one of the better support lines. They had 3 phenomenal main tanks, in my opinion, and you know they were just built really really well, and they just could never put it together.
Kinda sounds like that might fall into a specific part of the team that's not on the players. Might have been a coaching. Might have been a coaching issue. Not gonna comment any further, but that's just what it sounds like. They had talented pieces, couldn't put it together. Yeah. So moving right along.
Yeah, let's move on to our next game. Since Raging Cool plays for Kingdom Come and Kern can't, and Kern plays for Epizeuxis, they can't predict this one, but it's Epizeuxis against Kingdom Come. I said Kingdom Come would win 3-1. Arrow said 3-2 to Kingdom Come. 60% of our analysts say Epizeuxis, and 58% of the community says Epizeuxis. So this is a very close one. I'm just gonna say I feel like it'll come down to tank difference. I feel like at the current moment, Kingdom Come has a better tank line with Ant and JCK, I believe, is their off tank.
Yeah.
While Epizeuxis has 4 and who's the main tank? No, you isn't it?
SAM.
Oh, it's Sam. Okay. Well, Sam's good. I will say that, but I feel like Sam's more of a, I guess, Swiss Army knife type player. He could play any role. He's really, really flexible. But I feel like when it comes to main tank, Ant is just the better player.
Yeah. I think this is like, I think people give Epi a lot of crap because they lost 0-3 to not Powerhouse, Overcharged.
OC.
Yeah, I think they give him a lot of crap. I think
That's
there's
not even
also
awful, though.
yeah. I think it's kind of like a similar situation where it's like there's a chance Epi was just really really bad, and OC was like stay the same level over the 3 weeks, and like somehow I don't think we are, but somehow Kingdom Come is like far and away the best team in the league. But there's also the chance where it was like Epi just messed up in the game, just had a bad game plan against OC. So OC just took advantage of that, and then they kind of fixed their problems, which I think is probably the better option of the two.
I mean,
well, with Epizeuxis, like looking at the start of the season, like Epizeuxis, I remember the first game, Epi, like Tokyo had to reverse sweep Epi to get our first win of the season. Epi started out in a really bad like start. They went 0-2, 0-3. What was it exactly?
pretty sure 1 and 2. Because I mean,
One
no,
and
we
two?
started 2-2. Because I know we lost to Platchat and you guys. Then we beat
Okay.
Powerhouse and what was the other team? We beat
Either
Vertigo and
way, like,
Powerhouse at the start.
like I remember like you guys did not start out very well, and then like mid-season, I know like Surmi had to put in good amount of work to get them where they are now. I don't think like the loss of Zermi is gonna be like enormous. I think for 4 was originally on Tokyo. We drafted him as a backup, and I think 4 will be pretty fine. I just think Kingdom Come looked really, honestly, pretty strong in that match. Like, their whole team seemed to actually kind of have cohesion a little bit, which is
Yeah. I think
that's kind of rare for a team in this skill range to have an actual game plan and follow through and look good.
yeah, like obviously I'm not gonna leak anything because we have a certain spy here, but Kern.
Oh, just definitely.
Yeah, I'm not gonna leak anything, but like Trigger gets a lot of crap, but he's also like he and Speedy come up with like really good game plans, and really good strats for like specific maps. Like I mean I can't describe them, but just like the way we plan out what we're gonna do is like really
What you're gonna
impressive.
do for what maps?
Yeah. It's really impressive actually, but it's never really happened.
I think going into this game, I'm surprised the analyst and community has so much faith in us because the last game we had was
I don't
pretty bad. It was pretty bad, but with what happened, I'll give you this leak. The starting roster is going to look a bit different from what was last played, and I think it's going to be almost just a surprise factor of if we're going to do good or bad, because this roster hasn't played a game in the like an actual regular season game. So a lot of people on this team first game might be the playoffs, and it's just like how we scrim versus how we play in an actual match will literally just be the deciding factor.
Yeah,
I of course think my guys are good, but it's just like I just don't know how to like compare that to like other teams currently.
Yeah, I mean we would have like before our game against OC, we warm up scrimmed Epi, and we kind of didn't want to warm up scrim Epi because if we won, and we know there was a pretty good chance Tokyo wasn't gonna pick us.
True.
So yeah, we warm up scrimmed Epi, so like okay, maybe we can get a feel for what their roster is, and then JCK didn't realize he had a warm up scrim, so I was playing main tank and Triggered was in on DPS. So yeah, that was kind of a
without leaking anything from Tokyo. The decision process for picking between Bark and Kingdom Come was very challenging and very
Heated,
it was
very heated.
very contested. Yeah, basically, so what it was is so the whole team wanted to pick Hangzhou Bark, but Ranter GM me saying if you pick Kingdom Come, I'm gonna whip you, and well, let's just say he almost had to pull out the whip. I almost did the Manager League Zero special and fuck over my team midway through the season or playoffs, mentioning no one in specific, but it's a fucking tradition, and I almost wanted it up, pulled it.
Yeah,
so
I think
yeah.
There's a big difference between like the Tokyo game and this game we're talking about, because I feel like pretty much no matter what happens, I feel like Hangzhou is gonna at least like keep it decently close. Like whether they just win a map or something, but I feel like this game, like, because we don't know what to expect out of Epi, but also we don't know what to expect out of Epi. Like they could be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say the same thing, where it's like either this game is going to be one-sided towards Epi, one-sided towards Casey, super close towards Epi, super close towards Casey. I feel like there are the 4 options and only those 4 options.
I feel like a 3-1 is like somehow the least likely scenario.
I feel like also.
Who the fuck joined? Why are you in here? Get out of here. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I scared him off, guys. Don't worry.
I also feel like yeah, this is gonna be biased coming from the Tokyo perspective for the Hangzhou game. Like when we assembled the roster at the beginning of the season, my main goal, like when assembling it, was to put together people who I thought could do well together and who could win. And obviously, well, that has kind of shown. But I think for Epi and Tokyo fall in kind of a similar category. It's been 3 weeks since anyone has seen them play. A lot can change in 3 weeks. So like Epi having a whole
the difference between
roster,
Tokyo and Epi though is Tokyo kind of still has the same roster.
I
We
have
traded
been-
half our
don't
players
worry,
away
don't worry.
by the last
Leaks-
game.
leaks
Yeah,
are happening.
you're
I
not
have
ready for the
benched
Ranter main
Ranter.
tank.
I have
You're right,
benched
I'm not.
Ranter. Don't worry, guys. I have benched Ranter.
All right, so
Yeah.
Hangzhou
Yeah.
will be winning 3-0.
Damn,
Yeah, so
hate it,
RMM
man. That's just not nice. You're really gonna make me cry on my birthday.
RMM, the
happy
sub
birthday.
main
No, it's
support,
not my
has
birthday.
been
No, not happy birthday.
Yeah. So RMM has benched the starting flex support, also the captain, and the pseudo assistant manager. Grim really putting in hard work. Ranter's kind of stepping up to fill those shoes that Grim's leaving behind a bit.
On a completely side note, screw
yeah.
everyone who didn't vote Peep.
Yo,
Oh
get the
my
fuck
God!
out of here,
Get out of here!
Get out of here!
Leave!
God!
Anyway,
How are they
Go back
getting in?
Peep got snubbed for 3 different roles for
Yeah,
no reason.
actually,
I'm just
he
gonna
should-
say that.
I don't know
Yep.
how he got snubbed.
Who?
Peep.
The player on our team.
Oh, Peep. Oh,
you're-
yeah, I
you're
know
Oh
Stan,
my
yo.
God!
I know
You're
that guy.
stupid.
Okay, like, not gonna lie, I'm semi-AFK with Tokyo, but I really wanted to come on Countdown and say hi to RMM.
Yeah.
Hi, RMM.
Yeah, I can tell.
I
from
mean, I
RMM's
don't get many people
RM.
asking to come on Countdown, as you can tell, Kern, as you've been on it. So your third time
Yeah,
has to be a record.
let's go.
Yep. But
August.
either way, I think that does it, honestly. Raging Arrow, Kern, if you have any closing words, shit talk to say, or compliments, you know,
Can I have the last? Can I have the last one? I wanna-
No, you can. No, don't give him the last one. Don't give him the last
What?
one.
I
No, don't.
No,
you're
it's
not
gonna be
getting-
funny. Trust me.
Alright.
Here, I'm just gonna... Here, my only last words are my Discord username. Those are my final words. Everyone can read it at their own discretion. Yeah.
I'm
That's-
overqualified. Yeah.
That's my final send-off. People should understand it.
Oh, don't worry. I can go further. Raging, you go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that our main support that we picked up from intermediate that has been perma-benched the entire season besides one game is still better than Kern. So,
Oh, no.
Whoa, Slime's better than Kern. No way.
Slimo is a god.
No way.
I love
God's a,
Slimo.
God's a main
He
support.
can be better than me. That's okay.
Alright,
I'll-
what's your trash talk, Kern? Let me
I'm
hear
just
it.
gonna say, I'm glad your team was overqualified. It really showed, and I can't wait to play you next week.
Our team was overqualified? You look at
No.
OC?
Coach Thumper,
Oh,
overqualified.
man. Look at OC.
All right, that's all.
Okay. Well, once again, Raging Arrow, Kern, thank you. And next week I believe is actually the last episode.
What?
Pepe hands.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, 3 once again.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the expert part of the countdown. My name is Pooter Scooter. I'm joined here with Eok.
Hello.
Strider.
Hello.
And our special guest, Acronator.
I'm slowly dying. I'm so tired.
That is true. Alright, let's move on to the first game in the recap, which is Chengdu Chaz versus Easy Clap. The player of the match was Adam, and the honorable mention was Bun. Strider, can you just tell us like what happened during the game? Because it was really, really close. I saw in the stream.
Yeah, you know, it's just Easy Clap curse. We can always play teams close, we can never win. We kind of just started out the season, or we ended the season how we started, getting 3-2'd by Chengdu. And it was kind of for the same reason, like... I mean, I don't know, like... The first few maps 1 and 2, map 1 was not super close, I think, if I remember right. Map 2, we won. It was decently close, but, you know, everyone on Chengdu will say, oh, we were throwing. Which, you know, they probably were, but... they spent the first half of the series just, like, constantly BMing in chat. But I think what they failed to realize is that when we went 0-8, like, we don't get tilted anymore.
Yeah.
We've spent so much time losing that losing doesn't, you know, upset
Losing
us.
doesn't bother you guys.
Right. It's losing is a tradition for Easy Clap, and You know, we did the best we could. We had like I wouldn't even say we had a scrim that week. Like we had our warm up against Z9. We had a scrim against a team that lied about their SR and were like 2 point some. At least they played like it. It was fun. And like, Oasis was on ball.
Nice.
I came in. I was doing a scrim for my other team, and I came in halfway through, and we were just hard memeing. And I'd say that was what kept us in it. Like at the beginning of the season, our close games were all because we were really driven, and we were like, yes, we want to win. But towards the end of the season, I think, like especially in this match, the reason we played so well is because we just didn't take it, like, we didn't really care. We're like, we probably shouldn't have even gotten to playoffs. We're glad that we did. And Chengdu, you know, they've always had a very strong roster coming into the season. Everyone was saying, yeah, they're going to be the best team. They've got Bun and Zira, Contenders Trials DPS line, a good support line, and some good tanks as well. And I think they definitely underperformed, I would say, to play us that close. Like, the only other team that we played that close is Love Muffin, and it's Love Muffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about us? Huh? What about us?
Well, you know, it's just, especially towards the beginning of the season as well, it was strange because Chengdu was always the team, like early on in the season, we always played them really close in scrims as well. But that was back when we had Neglect and J-Venom. Not saying that our newer players were any downgrades. Infected, obviously, was a huge part of the reason that we were able to make it so close against Chengdu. Like, he has really been playing his heart out these last few games. And it shows, like, he went from my SR to 4.4 in the span of 2 months, or less than that even. And, you know, we're all really proud of him. And there's not really much else to say. That we all tried our best, but at the end of the day, Chengdu was just a better team. And I think that they have definitely have a chance going forwards, but if they play the way they did against us, I honestly would hesitate to say that they take a map if they play how they played against us.
I don't think that's entirely unreasonable.
Yeah, that's unreasonable.
But with the way Noon it is and their up and down inconsistencies, still being towards the top though, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Like, them and Newts are the two teams that fluctuate the most in terms of how they play. But I would say that Chengdu fluctuates way harder. Because, you know, you have Bun, who obviously is always just clicking heads. And that's exactly what it did. That's a big part of why they won the game. It's just Bun is insane. And then you have, I don't know, it's really what it's going to come down to. What it came down to for us was, I think Adam and Bun really had very good performances. Like, Adam was quiet, but he was very, very consistent. And that's what you need on a team like Chengdu. And like, compared to us, we're very consistent in the fact that we always lose. But but we always try to make it close, and we always play to our best. And sometimes, you know, we have off games where we just get completely rolled. But I'd say that this is definitely one of our better games of the season. And I think I should stop talking now because most of the time Easy Clap doesn't even get covered on Countdown. So yeah, let's move.
All right, yeah. Moving on to the next game, it's the Love Muffin versus Z9. The player of the match was Lupical, and the honorable mention was Yeah. So I just want to preface this. I'm just gonna give a quick recap, and I'm just gonna say that so Jewel, like an hour before our actual game, he had an IRL thing to do, so he couldn't make it. So we had to just put Deadlock on DPS. And honest to God, he popped. He just popped off. Everybody on the team did very well, even though Z9 did throw out some points.
it was very close. And yeah, I don't really have that much more to say. I just want to say, don't really underestimate us just because of this.
We're just gonna get underestimated because we're fucking Love Muffin. Hello?
Yeah, that's
we played
true.
well in that game.
That's
People
true.
just hate us. All my homies hate Love Muffin, bro.
Okay, I wouldn't say that people like before the countdown. I was going off on Love Muffin a little bit, which is rich coming from me. But the thing about Love Muffin is basically all of the players were completely unknown before the season, and they still are. Like, they're not active in the community aside from Pooter.
Yeah, woo!
And I think that kind of contributes to that kind of stigma against you guys. And like, I personally, I haven't watched the match, but Easy Clap before the playoffs, we were like, yeah, we think that Z9 is probably one of the strongest teams coming in. Because if you just look at their roster, I mentioned this before as well, they should have 3-0'd Love Muffin, if we're real.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Like, yeah. But, you know, I think one of the best parts about Love Muffin is, even though people are constantly saying, oh, who Megalol, and it was one of the strengths of Easy Clap as well, is that you just kept going, and you didn't care about it, and you kept playing, and you kept improving, and that's one of the big things that differentiated us, or you from us, over at Easy Clap, when we never got a win, but you guys definitely improved over the season. And we did too, but you guys improved a lot more than we did. And I think that's a big reason why you were able to do this, is even though Z9 was throwing, like, their players on paper, pretty much all of them, except for a few exceptions, are clearly above the players on Love Muffin. But at the end of the day, you guys worked hard and you kept going. And despite all the, like, oh, Z9's just gonna 3-0 you guys, you managed to beat them. Like, that was a huge upset for me. Like, I was like, what actually just happened? And from what I heard, a lot of that, especially against, I know Pooter mentioned this after our match against you guys before playoffs as well, is that EOC, you make a huge difference in comms. And
yep.
And yeah, and towards the beginning of the season, we had that with Neglect, and that's always been, that's a huge part of how teams get better, is that they have a strong leader in comms, and I think EOC has definitely been that for you guys when you needed him to. And on the other side, in Z9, I feel bad for kind of just taking over the countdown, but
no,
whatever.
It's 100% fine. Keep going.
This is Strider countdown now. It's definitely, from the point of Z9, that is not the result that you would have expected. You're coming into that match expecting to roll them, and then you lose 3-1. Like, I think a big part of that is people on Z9, some of them, I'm not going to call out any names, but some people on Z9 definitely didn't have the greatest attitude when it came to their management and when it came to working as a team. So when it came to that, when, you know, they're like, oh, this is just going to be easy, and then you guys come out and you're looking really strong, I think it just kind of crumbled for them. And they, like, as someone mentioned before, the thing, Ultra wanted to leave after the first match. Like, I think they just expected to win so hard that when you guys came out of the gates and, you know, swung really hard, they weren't expecting it, and they just kind of crumbled from there.
Yeah, I do also have to say that Z9 was very overconfident. They should have won Rialto. They should have won the third map. They should have went 2-1 against us. But I'm gonna keep remembering this. They played Monkey Ball and, like, I believe a Tracer's Ball, and just targeting target for no apparent reason. And in our opinions, target wasn't really that much of, like, the issue in there.
Especially not on Rialto, because Keith was on Widowmaker that game.
Yeah.
That map, and he kept winning the 1v1. I remember Korvac was like, isn't he the flex support? It was great.
Yeah, but the main, like, the center thing around our comp was our tanks and our healers. And they were just targeting the, our DPS, which, yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
To be fair, Deadlock came out swinging really hard on Lijiang in particular. Like, yeah, I think he was part of the reason Ultra didn't want to play anymore, because he just kept getting countered and hacked up on ball, and then he couldn't do anything.
I thought we played Ilios.
Did you? I don't even remember. Whatever the first map was, the entire game was a blur.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was either streaming or casting it, one of the two.
I think you were both.
No.
Or
No,
you
Pendu
were
was
casting
streaming it.
then, yeah.
I was casting and hosting. But, like, I just remember Deadlock coming out like, thinking, like, isn't he a tank? And then he comes out in, like, Sombra and Echo and just dominates on everything. It's like, okay, well, apparently he's just a god.
Yeah, no, Deadlock is a like we trialed Deadlock, but because of a rather unfortunate signing early on in the season, we couldn't pick him up because of the rules this season.
The timing thing.
Yeah, he's a very good player mechanically. Like his, especially in our match before playoffs, his Hog, which is a pretty mechanically demanding tank, was probably the reason you guys won. Definitely the reason you guys won Rialto. Excuse me. But what I will also say to that is, again with C9, is they were just overconfident. And a lot of the time, like when we have played against, what do you call it? Love Muffin. You can just stick your hit scan on Widow and let him go up against target, and the problem will take care of itself. But with how you're describing it, how they were focusing him, it's really not, it was never going to work. Because if he's not doing anything already, he can't do more. So there's no reason to put your resources into him. I personally, I think it was just ego. Like they were just trying to ego kill target. And
they were trying to ego our whole team, man.
Exactly.
They were
That's
so
the whole
cocky.
thing. Is again with the whole thing about Love Muffin is people, like even we were coming into our matches like, yeah, we're gonna roll. Oh, I mean, that's just kind of the easy clap. We just always said we were gonna roll people.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, we should have rolled you guys our first match. We got reverse swept, but we should have rolled you guys.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
and I think we definitely should have won the second one, but we just, this isn't an easy clap. But with Z9, again, I've said it like 3 times, they just struggled when they actually had a challenge. Like, maybe it was just having us for a warm-up scrim and we just kind of got rolled. So they just weren't ready for a team that was really going to push back against them. And I think you guys really just came together, and you're down a player, you're down your starting flex DPS, and you put a tank player on DPS, and suddenly, you know, you're in the second round of playoffs. Which I definitely didn't expect. If I had known that you guys didn't have Jiru when you went in, I would have said, oh yeah, for sure they're gonna lose. But you guys came through, and that's the big thing. Like, you guys are the ones still in playoffs, and Z9 aren't.
Yeah.
There's definitely a universe where we aren't in playoffs though, because they don't get over cocky.
Oh yeah.
There are many universes.
I think every other universe.
Like the mechanical skill of that team alone with their new pickups should definitely be enough to take us down, but being surprised by our coordination at the time definitely threw them off.
When Doctor Strange was like, there's only one universe out of 14 million and something in which we can beat him.
Yeah.
Like, this was the one universe.
Yeah, and I feel really, really good about this win, just because Z9 was definitely a front runner to win the whole thing.
You absolutely.
Yeah, and after defeating them, I feel like that definitely raised our confidence and raised a bunch of stuff. We wanted to like scrim more. We wanted to do this. We wanted to do that. So definitely did a lot for us.
Well, you're gonna have your work cut out for you next or this.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You gotta beat the Pascal deadlift.
Yeah, alright. So while talking about that, let's move on to the predictions. So the first game that we're going to talk about is San Francisco Glock versus Love Muffin. And almost everybody thinks that Glock is going to win. They're wrong, but
They're just
entitled to their
wrong.
opinions.
They're just wrong. Yeah, they're entitled to their opinions. One thing I do have to say though is that Glock is a very tough team to beat, and the one time that we like actually faced them, we didn't do that bad. We lost 3-2, which I feel like we've definitely surpassed that 110%.
That was the time Nova wasn't there. That's right.
Yeah, but it's still Beast in, and Beast is pretty good.
Wasn't he on Z9 by that point, or was that before?
No,
Beast started on Z9.
Beast started on Z9,
Right.
then
God, I can never keep
yeah.
track. He moves around too much.
Yeah, but it's been every single time meeting them, it's been close. Even the 5v6, which I don't really want to talk about.
Thanks.
Yeah. But we've been practicing a bit. We've been figuring out new comps, new ways to play, just adapting more. And I don't really have anything else to say.
I think our best chance of beating them would have to be something along the lines of catching them off surprise, like we did Z9 this past weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's, to be honest, I think that's really your only chance.
Yeah, there's just so much raw talent, and if they've actually been scrimming, then it's going to be even harder.
Right. I mentioned this before the countdown as well, is that your ceiling and their floor are about the same, I would say. And I think that's probably why, one, you guys had a close 5v6, and you also went 3-2 the next time you guys played. I think this all depends on whether or not Joshua and Pascal and Glacial were kind of able to keep everyone's head on their shoulders and just kind of, you know, it's not necessarily if they scrimmed a lot, because it's just if they come in knowing, you know, this might be tough, we have to give it our best. I think if they don't do that, it's going to be close. But I am betting that the more, you know, reasonable-minded people within the team are going to be like, let's take this seriously. They just upset one of the, you know, favorites for playoffs, a lot of people would say. Let's take them seriously. And if they do that, I think that SFG's got this easily.
Yeah. I do have to say though, one fight for positions to watch during this game would be Lupical versus Pascal. I definitely have to say that.
Lupical's good, but Pascal's
Lupical is
contenders.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
As much as I would say Lupical is good, Pascal is just kind of a different level.
Yeah, well, they play around him way better than we play around Lupical right now.
Right.
Yeah. That's their main carry. That's who they're trying to set up a lot of the times. So that's why.
But I mean, the thing is Lupical is very good. Yes, he was a big reason you guys beat us the first time around. I would say probably one of the biggest reason you guys beat us, aside from Infection's PC exploding. As usual with Easy Clap main tanks. But
yeah.
Pascal, even if he doesn't have the resources that Lupical will have, if you guys decide to go down the Pascal route, I think he just straight up, he's good enough to, like, Lupical is good by League 0 standards. Pascal is good by, like, contenders standards.
everyone's standards.
Yeah, everyone's
Right.
standards.
No, I don't think there's gonna be a single soul on the server that thinks that he's bad at the game.
Oh, no. If anyone does, they're stupid or a novice.
Or a novice.
Holy shit.
If they watched this, they would be very offended. Not
Yeah.
a much expert. Although I'm sure they'd be flattered that you separated stupid and novice.
You know, it depends.
I don't know. I think this could be a good game, but it depends. This
Oh,
kind of
it definitely could be.
It's kind of the same with the other two teams in
I think
semis as well.
I think it has the potential to be a better game than Newt versus Chengdu.
You think so?
I'll get into that when we go into Newt and Chengdu. But I think that this game definitely has more potential of both teams actually trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that a lot more.
Alright, so let's move on to the last prediction, which is Newt versus Chengdu Chads. So me and Eok both believe that Chengdu is going to win, while Strider and Akri believe that Newton is going to win, and the analysts and the community thinks that Newton is going to win. I just want to say that the main reason why I chose Chads to win is because I trust in their players that they're just not going to throw and they're just going to win, and because I want to play them in the finals. That's just it. Yeah. But honestly, it's going to be a very close game. The main thing is if Client shows up.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
If Client doesn't show up, that's like a big part of like the comms and the big part of like everything. Even though X-Runner is good, X-Runner is very, very good.
Their leadership is just going to be shot without him.
Their leadership
The
is just
reason
gone.
I have them winning 3-2 instead of Chengdu is Client.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
actually tries with everyone on their main roles. Stop swapping Client and Flawless, please.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
If everyone actually tries and plays, on their main roles, I feel like Newt could pull ahead, like they did the first time they faced. Because the second time they faced, they got like 3-1 by Chengdu, except they swapped main tank and off tank for some godforsaken reasons.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Newt's just been sandbagging over the past couple of weeks, and I
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna turn it on or not, or if they're just gonna continue to chill and just give it to Chengdu.
Yeah. But I do have to say that this game is either going to be one-sided either way, or a very close game. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Yep.
the way I would say it is and I highly doubt that this would be the case, but if Chengdu played the same way they played against us, I think they would lose easily. But I don't think they will, because Newt is not easy clap. Newt was the second highest seed, and they were the highest seed for a very long time.
Like the entire season up until
Right,
they threw against
up until the
the
end.
second time.
But if Chengdu actually decide to show up, I think they do have a good chance. This is a 50-50 game if both teams show up at their best. But I doubt that's gonna happen.
It's just really hard for me to have faith in Newt's players, given how they've been deciding who to play recently.
I know.
Regardless of if like availability or not, it's still just like, damn, really, they're playing this on that. What the? Yeah.
They've just been playing musical chairs with.
And
their
I think
roster.
if Chengdu wins like map 1, they're just gonna start getting on a roll and just win quickly.
Oh yeah.
If
This
Chengdu
game
gets
is-
momentum, yeah,
this game is
definitely.
entirely
It's gonna be an uphill battle for Newt a lot of the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. I just trust that. I trust that they're gonna actually show up this game.
For playoffs, you'd think, right?
Right, you would think, especially with a player like Client on the team. But if they don't, then I think, if Chengdu show up and Newt don't, it's easy. It's just like we said earlier.
An easy LMF versus CC finals. Yep.
Yep. Not
Yep.
wrong. Not wrong.
Yep, cock.
Yeah, just not looking at that 100% analyst SFG.
Shut up.
Hey, I do have to say, Acri did not count my vote for Love Muffin.
Dude,
Your vote does not count for
You're
Love
one
Muffin.
of like 3 people that always votes for their own team. So
Yeah,
I
of
had
course
to
I
come
do.
up-
Do I think that
had
my
to-
team is gonna lose? No. Of course I want to win. Of course my team's gonna win.
Okay,
That
can I
defeats the
just can I
purpose.
just say that is also one of the reasons I think people don't really like Love Muffin that much. Is
All right.
the whole season you were like, yeah, Love Muffin is third best team, when you almost lost to us twice.
Okay. The thing is,
it's
the main
Just
reason
because
why-
we're the most inconsistent doesn't mean we suck, no?
Yeah.
I would not say you were the most inconsistent team.
I honestly think we were.
Okay.
I would say you were consistently middling, and you've like leveled it up a lot for playoffs.
Hey, you're the best team without any top 16 OD.
You don't-
and
yeah.
Trials players.
I guess that's something, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I also want to just point out the main reason why a lot of people in Love Muffin want to play Chengdu in the finals is because every single game of the regular season has been close against every top team. Like Glock was 3-2, Newt was 3-2, but Chad's we lost 3-1 and then 3-0. So that is the one team where we want to prove like, hey, we could actually we could possibly beat them on a better day. And since we're on opposite sides of the bracket, that's what we gotta do. So. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap up the countdown right here. Strider, Eok, Acri, do you guys have anything else to say?
No.
My mind is blank. I'm like counting the minutes till I can go to sleep.
Oh, you said yes to countdown?
Thanks
Yes.
everyone for coming to the first episode of Strider Countdown.
Strider countdown.
Ooh, yeah! Alright, let's let Acri get some shut-eye. And I'm gonna, yeah. See you guys next time.